All right, gentlemen, Mr. Henry, Mr. Adams, welcome back.
Hello,
you guys
sir.
ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Ready.
Ready to go.
All right, well, let's just get into it.
Urban Christian Veterans provides a safe place for Christian veterans of color to discuss the challenges you face in your daily lives. Being a person of color has its challenges. Being a Christian has its challenges. Being a veteran has its challenges. All of those factors being combined makes for a unique and sometimes difficult life experience that is seldom talked about in public forums. Thank you for tuning in to the Urban Christian Veterans Podcast. Here's your host, D. Allen Rose.
Thank you, Aaron, for that wonderful introduction. This is D. Allen Rose, and you are listening to the Urban Christian Veterans Podcast. So again, thank you guys. As always, I really appreciate you coming back and sitting down with me. Question for you. Do we, as older Black veterans, have an obligation to advise younger generations in our community? Do we have?
Absolutely.
Oh, we have an
Absolutely.
obligation?
I do
Okay. Talk to me.
Yes.
I do it as often as I possibly can simply because it wasn't done for me.
Okay.
And I have a mantra, a motto, if you would, that when I'm talking to especially young Black boys,
Mm-hmm.
that you won't ever be able to say, nobody told me that.
Mm.
So I make it my business to all the things that I failed at in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell everybody, if you just do the opposite of what I did, you'll be successful out the gate. You won't have to wait till you're 100 like I am
Mm-hmm.
to see success. So I'm most definitely making my business. Hey, come here, sit down. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking
Yeah.
about everything from condom usage and where to have them. You
Mm.
know, hey, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Okay.
You carry a backpack. You need to have condoms in your backpack, in your nightstand, in your glove box, in your armrest, in your car, in your dresser drawer. Because we don't, as teenagers, as young men, we never planned to be with women.
Mm.
We didn't plan, and I try to plan not just to be with women, but planning in your life. As young, you don't plan stuff. So we're reactive, and I'm trying to teach them to be proactive, or counsel them to be proactive in purposefully proactive in everything. Well, I do the condom thing because that gets their attention right away, and then I move them to religion or whatever we're talking about.
I'm
But
glad you clarified that, brother, because I was like, he focusing a lot on some.
yeah, I do that. Like I said, it's the shock value, and then now they're paying attention.
Yeah.
And then I move into now that I got them,
Other topics.
then I move into hey, this is where you need to be at. Joel Osteen is not going to eulogize you.
Mm.
Neither is T.D. Jakes.
Yeah.
So then I get with the church, and I hit them with that. But that's what I do. I definitely think it's an obligation. It's a responsibility for
Well,
us to
hold
do
on.
that.
Yeah, I would definitely.
Obligation or
Yeah.
responsibility? Because they're two different things.
I'm gonna say responsibility.
Responsibility. So we're not
They
obligated.
have parents.
In your opinion, we're not obligated, but we're responsible.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What say you,
Yeah.
brother?
Yeah, I agree with Reggie. Those sayings where see one, be one, see somebody, be somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at this example. I'll give you two.
Mm-hmm.
My boys are going to be 25 and 27 this year. Okay. The only presidents they've seen are Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we were coming up, to say a Black man or Black woman or woman would be president, we would laugh it off. We would laugh it off. But by them seeing this articulate brother up there as president, now the mindset changes. It's just like if they see a doctor, they see a lawyer, not just an athlete, they see all these other people of industry out there. Now the train of thought changes. I gave a talk when I was out there, still coaching and doing basketball camps. I was helping a friend out, and he wanted me to speak to the campers when we had our break. And I gave this example. I set up 2 cones, one close to me, one further away.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked this question. I started the conversation by asking, what is the shortest distance between 2 points? Happened to be my son raised his hand. I pointed to him and he said, a straight line. I said, a straight line. I said, what we're going to do, this cone right here that's closest to me is the start of life. That furthest cone is the end of life. I said, now in life, what we want to do is try to walk this pathway as straight as possible. I said, some of you are going to start here at the closest cone and you're going to veer off. By God's will, you're going to come back onto the pathway. I said, unfortunately, some of you may start here, but you're going to venture off to the pathway and you're not going to come back on the straight and narrow. I said, there's a way that you can stay on the straight and narrow, and that's by a few people in your life. And who may know who those people are? I asked that question, and they raised their hand. They said, your parents. I said, your parents. I said, somebody said teachers. I said, teachers. I said, coaches. All these people are placed in your life to help you stay on this straight and narrow path. I said, by show of hands, who believes that their parents love them? Well, obviously, they all raised their hand. I said, then why do you think your parents will purposely lead you down the wrong path and deer in the headlights look? Okay. I say this to say, I was telling them, as a parent, as a coach, as a teacher, we can give you information. We know where all the minefields are out there when you walk in this pathway of life. I've told my sons, as a man, more than likely, everything you're going to go through, I've already experienced it. So it's up to me. I'm going to give you the information because this is one time, this test where it's not bad to give you the answers. And when I give you that information, it's not try to badger you or be overbearing on you. It's to try to ease your walk down this path of life. Now you could take the advice, and your pathway more than likely is going to be easier. Or you can refuse that information, and you're going to walk that minefield of life, and you will get blown up. Now, we will be here, your mother and I, to help you pick up the pieces. But why sometimes you don't have to go through all that heartache? So I say all that to say, yeah, I think we have a responsibility to give information and try to steer the young men and women in our community in the right direction. But I think in our community, we also may be obligated to do it as well, because we didn't have the head start as some other ethnic groups might have had. Okay, I think like growing up, we really didn't know about the stock market, mutual funds, and ETFs. We didn't know about the power of using life insurance policies to help the next generation to come up. All that information we have now. So now, obligated and responsible to giving that information to the next generation so that now they have that information. They have an earlier start and they can do the same for who's coming up after them.
Yes.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Right on. So years ago, I was a very different dude. Let me just say it that way. And I also was I was a, call it an executive, if you will, a manager, however you want to call it, a higher level manager at the airport. And we would, just as a matter of community outreach, go and speak at schools. So we go to this joint. I shouldn't call it that. It was a high school called, there's two. One was called, it's South Atlanta High School, right? Why I say it's this joint is because the warnings that I got before I got there. Oh, you going to South Atlanta? Like it was that type of place, right? I mean, to the extent where we would all, each of us, it was a big group of us who went, a big group of men who went, airport executives, speaking to these individuals, these kids, and they would go up on, each of us would go up on stage, say a little something, and while we were waiting our turn, we would be sitting in the audience, and I remember some commotion behind me in the audience, these kids, and some of them got put out, for something going on back there. It was like that, like, oh man, So we all said our piece, and then we broke out into, little breakout sessions where we had individual time with small groups of the young men. And here's what I want to ask you. I hear what you're saying about advising and all this, right? So this young man, I could tell he was the smallest of the bunch, but he was like one of the coolest of the bunch. Like all other kids seem to gravitate towards this kid. And the cliche stuff, and first of all, these young men, they were called the gents. It was the gents program. So they all had on collar shirt, white collar shirts. Some of them had on ties. Some of them had their ties in their pockets. It was like whatever.
Yeah.
But clearly they were from rough neighborhoods. And so, you in there with the cliche stuff, man. Education, go to school so you can da. And so this young brother says, he listened to a lot of what all these men on stage said, but his biggest question was like, why? Because y'all are up there, we're here. I hadn't heard anything that's going to get me from where I am to where you are, blah, blah, blah. And he had a point. Everybody was talking about what they did, their achievements, all this other. And he was like, whatever, like what that got to do with me. So I asked this brother, and I want you, based on what you said, I want to hear how you would respond to him. I said, brother, well, help me out. Like I was getting ready to go down this path. I first asked the question, well, why are you in school? And what he said to me threw me all the way off. He said, I'm here to eat.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm here to eat.
Yeah.
That I was thinking he was going to say he was trying to work on some path. He was trying to get somewhere. That brother said, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Like the only reason I'm here is for a meal.
A lot of them don't want to go on summer break because that was their meal. I found that out when my boys' high school. A lot of these kids are coming there. The only meal that they're going to receive is at school, period. And a lot of people, they don't have any idea about that, especially if you're living outside of my neighborhood, your neighborhood. Most people live in a nice house. They have minimum 2 cars in the driveway. You go to their fridge, there's food in the fridge. They're not thinking about that. My boys, they grew up, if they want something to eat, they just go to the fridge. They don't know nothing about syrup sandwiches, that syrupy Kool-Aid. They don't know anything about that.
Ooh, syrupy Kool-Aid. I hear you.
Yeah, that is real.
I hear you.
Sugar water. Yeah.
Yeah, that is very real. And I didn't find that out until my boys went to high school and they told me about that. A lot of these kids, that's their only meal. There's no food in the house.
That young brother said that to me. That's why I ask you, in that same situation, right? Do you feel that same obligation to try and tell this young man something? How do you handle that? Because I'll tell you how I did, but I want to hear how would you handle that?
First, we need to, his need needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do first. One good thing I like about my little small hometown is the school offers meals during the summer. They have
Mm-hmm.
a summer meal program. The parents can drive up at a certain time and they give them this bag, lunch or whatever. They do it. It's like all year round because of that same thing. They knew these kids. It was some teacher. We are predominantly Black, but it is, it's, I would say, well, my neighborhood, definitely predominantly Black. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
it was addressed and it was like, hey, these kids is a smart kid. Always getting in trouble or always being a problem. And my grandmother had always told me, all you got to do is keep a child fed and they'll be happy. So once those teachers addressed that need, that kid excelled. And then they know, okay, they care about me because they're trying to fulfill this need that I have. Now I don't have to focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was a teacher, and she had a kid that fell asleep all the time. So she ended up making a pallet on the floor, let the little kid sleep. He woke up in the afternoon, caught up all his work, and it was correct, and moved on. So she saw that people kept moving him to another class, and that was he was sleepy,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like that kid was hungry. So I would definitely address the need, find out how I can assist either that kid or the kids, address that need, because they're not hearing nothing. Just like I say, they're not hearing nothing you're saying because that ain't what they're there for. Once you
Mm-hmm.
address that need or that thing, they'll be more susceptible to hear what you have to say then.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree with Reggie. Trying to come up with staff on addressing the need, which is a lot of them, is hunger. And then once that need is addressed, then you try to help them use that as motivation so they won't be hungry again. For instance, I had a very emotional conversation with my cousin who's passed on suicide thing. And one of the questions he asked me, we went to another cousin's wedding and we got back about midnight. We talked till 4 a.m. A lot of emotion, a lot of crying. And one thing he asked me, he said, Greg, we had a house, we had this, we had that. He said, how did you get out of the situation where you are to get to where you are in life? I said, I wanted what you had. I wanted that house. I wanted to have a car in the driveway and not have to ride the metro and, wait out there in the cold. I wanted what you had. And I think if you could somehow take a child's dilemma or shortcoming and use it as motivation, it serves well. How many times have you watched a athlete come up and talk and you hear his background and what he had to deal with? Shannon Sharp, you just mentioned
Mm-hmm.
Shannon Sharp, how he grew up with his grandparents and the living conditions they came from.
Mm-hmm.
They use it as motivation. So,
Okay.
so
Well, yeah. So here's the thing, man. At first, when he said that to me, it shook me
okay.
because I wasn't expecting that answer. Remember, why we're there. Remember, it's the school created this image of the kids to have them in these white button downs with ties on. That wasn't the image, or that wasn't the thing I expected to come out of his mouth, based on how he was looking. So then I had to switch gears. And so I was like, I'm sitting in front of him like, wow, okay, I hear you. And then when I got myself together, I was like, let me ask you something. Are you hungry now? Did you eat this morning? Oh yeah, and it's him and it's like, I think 3 others. Yeah, we ate or whatever. Okay. But something that you said, I need you to speak more on that. You said that you didn't hear anything that help you get from where you are to what you saw on stage today. Why do you say that? And then he went on to explain, man, y'all this, y'all that, y'all these big wigs, blah, 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 at the airport, blah, blah. Airport got all this money. And I said, okay. And the long story short of it was we started backing into it. I was like, the thing that I tried to leave him with was, you can get there too, but you need to decide how. The question is, do you want it? And then we started backing into it. Imagine you ain't got to do what I did, but what if I told you? And then I started saying, I started talking about the syrup sandwiches. I started talking about the mayo and tomato sandwiches and all of that. And heaven forbid, peanut butter, no jelly, all of that. Right. So we started going through that and I was like, yeah, can you imagine? Yeah, that's how I was living. My mom was doing the best she could. And sometimes ends wasn't meeting, or whatever. But the long story short, here I am. That means it's possible. Right. And so again, I'm walking these kids through. Tell me, what next? What next? What next? Like, if you did this, then what? What does it look like in your head? What next? What next? And so I had him thinking about the steps that he would try and take to make it to whatever. And I never pushed any of them. Now, here's what you need to do. I never did that. Right. But I was, the thing is, what I left him with, and I hope it stuck, is you got to want it, because the same way you didn't hear a pathway to where we are, I didn't hear from you that you even want it. What I heard from you was, I want something to eat. And then I heard from you that you ate today. But I didn't hear, I'm trying to go get this next. Yeah. Now that I've eaten, here's the thing I'm trying to do. Here's the thing I'm trying to do. Whatever. And it's day by day, step by step. Right? Did you knock out your homework today? Did you knock out, you got a test coming up in a couple of days? That type of stuff. And so all of that took place, the groups had to rotate. And so he sat in front of me. He wasn't even my first group. Another group got up, he sat down. And I think I might have had 12 minutes with him. And in those 12 minutes, I had to build something in his mind. And he had to be the one to construct it. I shouldn't even say I built it. All I had to do was ask the questions and make him build it in his mind. And he was like, all right. So now that you've built it, you see the end result. You see the people on the stage. You see us and the possibilities of where you can be. But you can't look for us to give you the step by step, because each and every one of us have a different story and a different path and a different way we got there. Right. But you build it, but you got to want it.
Yeah.
And so, but the bottom line is, I say that because when I was shook, I was like, whoa, had that same issue came up years prior, I'd have been like, man, that's messed up. All right, y'all. Like I wouldn't have been equipped. And furthermore, now that I'm older, I can't say that I would have said the same thing now. Right? It's because we live in a different world now, and stuff that's happening today, it's not the same. Now you got different challenges. Right? Go vote. Well, I don't know. Like
can
vote
you?
while you can. You know what I mean? Like, right.
Yeah.
It's vote while you can, because you jokers trying to take it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, but it brings me back to the original question. Obligated, or is there a responsibility? Because they are two different things. Are we obligated to speak to or advise younger generation of people in our community? Or do we just have a responsibility? Two different things. What do you guys think?
I do think it's both. It can be both. I think we are obligated to be available for it,
Mm-hmm.
and we're responsible for our immediate circle or sphere of influence. So we can't just be going out grabbing people off the street, but so we have to start smaller, working our way out. Sh- Shy of I'm big on exposure. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
kids don't dream because they don't think outside of they can't outside of their radius, their situation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you made the example about the president. When when kids give me excuses and single mothers or I can't get to church, but I was like, oh, but you can get to the club.
See,
So,
so
and
you
then
meddling. You're
the
meddling now.
the first time somebody that looked like us did a thing that takes your excuse away. That's what I tell them. So if there were never any black doctors and you said, oh, I want to be a doctor, but I don't, but I take excuses away. I did it reversed, I guess, reverse how you did with him. I
Mm-hmm.
take because they tell me I can't do this because of, hey, the first time if somebody done that already, your excuse is thrown out the window. Now what? So
Yeah.
what aren't you doing?
Yeah. Going
And
on the
now we're
same
part of
topic.
we have an organization
Yeah.
that we are exposing these kids to different. We're going to do a college trip and stuff like that. And these kids are, we put a pilot in front of them, a black pilot, and all that. So that kind of, and I'm military. They always ask me, yeah, you killed anybody? No, so I got a different aspect, jumping out of airplanes, all those things. But I take those excuses away and get down to the nitty gritty, meet the need. And then they always leave me. Like I said, you won't be able to say, I didn't know that. Or nobody told me that. That was my thing. When I came back from basic, I was pissed because
Mm.
in AIT, nobody, all they said was, don't go combat arms. That's all the other black Vietnam vets, people had did in the military. I got a couple of uncles and they're like, oh, whatever you do, don't go. But they told me what not to do, but they didn't tell me what to do. And now I tell people, pick a job where you have to do it in the AC. Yeah, I tell them, hey, there are jobs in the military where you can't do it unless you're in the air conditioning. Well, I wish
Wow.
somebody would have told me that.
Yeah.
Supply 10% off the top. You know what I'm saying? I tell I tell them that. Hey,
Yeah. Yeah. When people ask me about the military, one of the first questions I ask a young person, what do you want to do? Do you want to do the ho combat stuff? Or you want to be more business-like, corporate? What do you want to do? If they say the ho stuff, 11 Bravo, Ranger, Airborne, Marine Corps,
Mm.
combat on. If you want the more corporate thing, Air Force, without a doubt. Go to the Air Force. If you want to travel, Navy. So it just depends on, or depending on the career field, I might know there might be certain military branches where, like, say, an engineer, I might steer you to instead. Okay. But it just depends on what they want to do. And just to add to what that young man was saying, something came up on my feed today, my social media. I hope I saved it. And it's about a young man who started out in a bad situation with his parents, drug use, the whole 9 yards. Problem in school, young parent, ended up still staying with the young lady, marrying her. Make a long story short, the gentleman ended up going to Johns Hopkins and becoming a doctor,
Mm.
looking at his start. So when I see things like that, even in my life as an adult, I can't use an excuse because there's always going to be someone who's in a worse situation than you are. And you have to look at those people in those situations who have overcome, and again, try to use it as an example. And I pulled up the difference between obligation and responsibility. Obligation states is a binding action, duty, or responsibility that a
Mm-hmm.
person is legally or morally forced to fulfill.
Right.
While it says responsibility is the state of being accountable, dependable, or in charge of duties, tasks, and consequences of one's action. So different, but they kind of,
Yeah,
melds together. Yeah.
there's some overlap, but I think either way you look at it, right? When the question comes about, because no matter if you don't know the definition,
Yeah.
when you look at, I look at each of you, you've had these experiences, and I'm sure that your life is a sum total of those experiences, and you would, I think, agree that you wouldn't be who you are if it weren't for the things you went through, and you know some stuff.
Yes.
And what sense does it make for you to take it with you and not impart that, right?
Yes.
Now, whenever I get into a quorum and these tough questions come up for me, yeah, my initial instinct is to try to work it out in my brain, but then not always, more often than not, I look to the Bible and
Okay.
I say, is there a responsibility? Is there an obligation? Am I obligated to do this, that, or the other, whatever? And yes, there are many Bible verses that say we're supposed to, we are obligated, you are directed to. And I don't memorize them or what have you, but there are Bible verses, if you look them up, that say we're
Ephesians
supposed to.
6. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
it's so. But I think when you're out there in life, day to day in the world, that's just one example of how we don't necessarily, like, we'll go by our instincts and our feelings and our own moral codes, but we don't necessarily lean on what the Bible says as we should.
Yeah.
Because there would be no question. If you read it, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I have no choice. In fact, when I mentioned a minute ago that I don't know that I would say the same thing to that young man, I didn't go into the situation with an understanding, being armed with the word. I went into it thinking, here I am, Mr. Exec. You want to hear what I got to say? Nah, partner. That that kid let me know right off. You wasn't saying nothing I was trying to hear. I was waiting on the lunch bell.
Yeah.
And so, I think that now that once you get to the point or understanding that that it is a biblical obligation, you have to go. You have to do that. In fact, look at it like you were blessed and allowed to experience what you did so that you could be a blessing to someone else. Right? That changes things for me. That changes things for me. And so every opportunity I get, I try to be obedient. I hear you, God. Yes, Lord. Your word says this. If the opportunity comes about, I'm definitely going to take that opportunity to share. Now, you can't go injecting yourself and inserting yourself. These young jokers,
No.
these young jokers, if they're not trying to hear it, you're you know what I mean? That's just not. In fact, you guys were talking about with that young man fulfilling the need. You understand that the the administrators, the school administrators who actually work in the trenches, they know, and they're trying, right? They're trying to fulfill those needs. They know the needs of the community, those kids, what have you, because
True. Yeah.
another school I went to was an alternative school. And I remember we had to go, and there's some things we had for the alternative school, we had to go through this whole process of signing some papers and all that before the actual event to go speak to them. So I go up there to do my part, sign the papers or whatever. And I'm talking to the school administrator. And it was after what I thought was after school. For them, it was the beginning of the day because it was alternative. It was like a night school.
Mm-hmm.
So I went after work thinking, let me catch them before they leave. Nah, they just getting started. And so I get there late in the afternoon, and this young lady, I won't. She was younger than me, but she had an old soul. Let me just say it that way.
Okay.
And we're going through talking or whatever, and she was almost like reading me up and down, and to make sure that I'm somebody she even wants talking to these kids. And I'm like, okay, I was feeling the energy. And as we're talking, no joke, I hear some talking out in the hall or whatever. And we were talking in the library. And I hear some footsteps coming in, or whatever. And they're behind me. And she says, excuse me, Mr. Rose, hold on 1 second. And she said, hey, baby. And I'm thinking there's one of the students. It was a toddler, a little bitty toddler walked up. And she gave her a hug or whatever. And then the mother came in, and then the father, young people, high school age.
Yeah.
The alternative school had a daycare so that the parents could attend classes at night. And this is a different school, right? She is like a mother to the students in here. So she's checking to make sure whoever comes and talks to them understands the situation. You're not talking to normal high school kids. These are kids with responsibilities. My man just got off work. Baby need Pampers, all of that. And I was like, again, like, whoa, this is different. And
this is reality. This is America.
Yeah. Right. That was so different to me that it just changed my whole outlook on things. And I will say it made me better because it better prepared me to, how you hear some things, you absorb them. Hey, that's some good stuff or what have you. And you just have them. But it made me pull things out of myself that I heard that would fit the situation. Because now I knew the focus was different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that to me is that it falls into that obligation category. You go do these things because these situations will pull out of you your experiences and your information when you least expect it. And that was so helpful to me, man. That was just different, man. A different experience, man.
Yep. When I accepted the fact that I had to go through some stuff in order to go to level up, that helped me get promoted in the military. It helped me my mindset. I was upset. I mean, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I never did drugs, I never did none of that, and didn't get in trouble. I met all the evolutionary rungs on the military ladder, and I was like, I was getting frustrated because my friends were skyrocketing. And as my walk with the Lord I got closer with the Lord, like you said, it's in the Bible. And when I stopped, when I just surrendered, and I was like, all right, God, this is it. This is how it's gonna be. I gotta teach. So my pathway was, I did the job first. This is military. I did the job first, and then I made the money, or I got promoted. I had to do the job first. So I was the motor sergeant without being an E7. And then I was a platoon sergeant without being an E6. And I was allowed to do all the bumps and bruises because they knew I didn't know. Got the Hawaii brand new E5. They made me the platoon sergeant. one of my soldiers' wife died. She drank herself to death. That was my first experience as a platoon sergeant. So my feet got put to the fire, and I'm like, Lord, next thing you know, I get to brag, get back to brag for the third time. They had an E6 walk up to me. He's the first sergeant. I'm like, what is going on? and he's like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here.
Wow.
And I was
Pass the buck.
E7.
Pass the buck.
Right.
So
tag you're it.
That's it.
And I was like, man, I had told my wife at the time, I said, I think I'm about to retire because I'm not feeling appreciated. I was on my high horse. I'm not feeling appreciated because people are getting DUIs and all this stuff and getting promoted. Here I am being the good son, and nothing was happening. But when I calmed down and just surrendered and said, all right, God, this is what it is. As soon as I did that, then I looked back and I realized I was able to go through the bumps and bruises without getting in trouble. Because had I been E7 in an E7's position, they would have expected me to know how to do all of that stuff. And then my NCOERs would have been raggedy. But because I was fledgling, they put their arm around me and said, all right, next time, try this. Next time, try that. Then when I got the actual rank, I had no problems. And same with the first time. My first time, go on leave, or, hey, man, I got a class. You can take the formation? Yeah. Hey, man, I'm be gone for like 3 days. You get the company? Yeah. So I was able to, all the bumps, I got all of those bumps and bruises before I pinned the diamond. And that's when it clicked. I was like, okay, God, I see what you was doing. That's what you was doing. Because when I pinned the diamond, being black, they wouldn't cut 82nd, and I was at 18th Airborne Corps. They don't cut no slack.
Right.
When they look at you, you walk in that door, and that guy see that diamond on your chest, he expect you to know. He's not expecting you to be trying to learn. You're supposed to know. But I was able to absorb and get the bumps and bruises without getting in trouble. So they was in a teaching mode with me. And as soon as I surrendered and I realized, okay, I've been allowed to go through all of what I've gone through so I can teach. And when I accepted it, I got promoted, and my pay was the pay for an E8 with 20 is way more than an E. You know what I'm saying? Than somebody who was an E8. Hey, my pay, I skyrocketed past, and that was my reward. That's what I saw, the reward. So yeah, I was held back, and all my friends was jumping. But when I got it, I towered past them in pay, and I was like, okay. And that's when I accepted it. I was like, this is what that was my purpose.
Yes.
So
there you go.
That's when I accepted my I've been through, like I said, the credit cards and the baby mama dramas and all of this stuff. I've gone through all of that. I've endured it, so I can teach that's my responsibility.
Okay.
You say, hey, don't do this. Like you said, G, hey, we got this path in front of you. I've done all the wrong and went off the trail. Just do the opposite of what I did. You'll be successful.
Well, thank God you came back. Came back on that pathway. And it's so funny you mentioned 18th Airborne Corps because I was headed there, and I probably would have met you because I was on my way to the Sinai. I would have probably did a year over there, and I was coming right back to Bragg.
Yep.
But I ended up getting out. Yeah. So
I was the HHC first sergeant, which was interesting. But
well, I think that that to me helps with, I guess, how when in school you do some problems and they be like, show your work.
Yeah.
Right. How did you get here? Right. That to me is an example of a way to check. Like I told you, I learned some things, and the more of these schools I went to and the more of these kids I encountered that had issues prepared me, like you said. I got an opportunity to speak to a young adults group. They were called At Risk, and they were out of high school. They were college age, but they weren't in college. And it was an at-risk group that was put in place at Clark Atlanta University. So I go, and they asked me to do a workshop. And I think it was like a week-long workshop. Not even a week. It might have been 3 days. 3 days. It was multiple days. So I had to put together a workshop, a leadership workshop. Boy, when I tell you talking about, these are beyond high school now, right? And so, they're at risk. They've all had some brushes with the law. Some were currently going through legal stuff. One of those, they're going through this program because it makes them look better. It helps their case kind of situations. And so you got a bunch of older young adults sitting in there about to fall asleep. They're like, man, I'm just here to get the credit, or whatever. So it's like, can you imagine? I got 3 days of this. So I'm doing what I'm trying to keep it together, whatever. But here's what happened. And what you said, I think is a way to check the work, right? And you'll see what I'm talking about. So I introduced them to the concept of be, do, have, right? This was day one. And the way it works is I'm like, okay, everybody got something to write with. Got your paper, your pen. All right. I need you to draw 3 columns, vertical columns on your paper. This is day one. I want you to write day one up at the top. To your far right, at the top of that column, write have. Middle column, write do. Write be in the beginning column, the left column. So we're going to start with have. Tell me all the things you want to have in life. Describe your life, whatever. Just write it all out. Bro, that have column was full. Everybody was filling it out. I want to have this. I want to have that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, let's go to the do column. What do you have to do to have those things? They writing, but it's starting to get a little shorter. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, now go to the be column. What kind of person you got to be in order to do the things you need to do, in order to have the things you want to have? That B column was scarce, right? Now that's day one. So then we go through all of the exercises or whatever throughout the day. Day two, pull out all right, day two, clean slate. Start it out. Be, do, have. Tell me what you want to have. Those haves started to change a little bit. The do's started to see a little bit more writing. The B's started to, okay, now you see what kind of person you got to be in order to do the things that you got to do, in order to have the things that you want to have. By the third day, write it out. Let's go. Now the haves had substance, right? It just wasn't, I want this caddy, right? It was like, I want a car that's going to get me from A to B, that kind of stuff. I want to have the life that's going to be, I want to be financially independent, blah, 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 whatever. The things that I have to do, started seeing school, education, you started seeing these things.
Yeah.
But the key was the type of person you gotta be in order to do the things you say you have to do in order to have what you want to have. That's where the light bulb went off. I gotta really be different than what I am.
Be disciplined.
You know what I mean? Yeah, all those things, all of these, what type of person do you feel like you gotta be? And then that was their project, and that was what their takeaway at the end of this 3-day journey. That's yours to keep. That's your roadmap.
Was leadership? This was leadership?
Yeah, I did a leadership. I had to create the whole curriculum and do it for 3 days. And it was half days. It was like 4-hour sessions for 3 days,
Okay.
And so the thing is, they were able to walk away with a roadmap that they create. Remember, I told you they created it. I didn't create it.
Yeah.
But when you make people think, okay, you want to have that? What do you got to do to get it? Okay, what kind of person you got to be to be able to do those things. Now, if you're the robbing and killing kind of person, and you say, okay, well, I got to rob and kill harder to do.
Hope
You know what I'm
not.
saying? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like some people feel like that's the only way.
Yeah.
But the hope is that you go through 3 days of making it make sense. And they're like, yeah, the likelihood of you being a top dog, having that type of lifestyle is the same as making it to the NBA. You know what I mean? It's like, ain't a whole lot of top dogs that's still out here free and alive doing that type of stuff and having it, right? Ain't a whole lot of NBA players, right? So people started getting real with themselves and saying, okay, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to be. And then you start to see the changes. So what I was saying, Reg, show your work. I'll bet you if you filled out your sheet, I know what I want to have. Here's what I had to do. And this is the type of person I had to be in order to get them things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how you show your work.
I wish I would have took your class. I wish I would have had you.
I like
teach me
that.
Because
Yeah.
I was so thankful. I was a easier first sergeant because of it.
Mm.
One of the examples that I told my junior leaders was when I first got to Bragg, I was a floater.
Mm-hmm.
I was my replacement. I mean, I was replacing this guy, but he still had like 4 months before he was leaving. So they really didn't have nothing for me to do. So I literally floated around. I hung out with different sections. This is what we hang out at, when we want to not be found. I was an E4 Mafia. I was Sham God. I got it.
Man,
okay.
Right.
And what they didn't know, what God had in store for me, was they were going to make me the first sergeant with orders. So when you're when you're E7 and you're not pinned,
right,
you have to have orders because you have all the responsibilities of a first sergeant without. Basically, it's frocked. I was frocked, but I couldn't be frocked because I wasn't an E8 yet.
Right.
But I was the actual first sergeant with orders. So what happened was when it was time for I needed details for some people. I'm calling these sections. They're like, "Oh, we ain't got nobody." Oh, really? Because they forgot for 2 months I was with them shamming somewhere.
Right.
I say, so what about Brown and Smith? Oh, yeah. Either you send them over here or you come over here. I don't care which one.
Right.
But the detail gonna get done. It could be E8 on the detail. It'll be E3 on the detail.
Right.
So, yeah, that was perfect. That was that learning it before you do it. So they was messed up because I knew all the hiding spots. I knew who was where because I was with them.
Mm-hmm.
I was going down to play bingo, and all kind of stuff on duty and stuff like that. So yeah, that was my example. I was thankful, but I wish I would have had a class like yours. That would have saved me a lot of less pain.
Yeah, send me the outline to that.
I mean, it's real simple.
Send me the outline. Yeah.
I'll send you a piece of paper with B doing half at the top.
B doing half. So that on YouTube.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that.
No, but see, that's the thing. It was one of those things that was taught to me. I didn't make that up.
Yeah.
Right? It was something I went through. And when someone taught me, it was something I had to pull. But like I was saying, when you go through these situations that force you to like, man, how can I get through to these folks, man? Because when I tell you, man, when you're dealing with at-risk individuals, they are at risk of being lost in society, like being incarcerated, and some other things could go wrong.
Yeah.
And you have to have the heart to want to help, right? I wasn't there to try and make money. I was there to try and help, right? I had a pretty prominent position at the time, and I was like, I'm trying to give back. And, God has a way to, you ready? You ready to give back? All right, come here. I got some people who need some.
Yeah.
And when I'm calling myself giving back, I'm like, whoa, I didn't know I was, you know, I'm talking about when people warn you before you step into a building. I just want to tell you, I just want to warn you, like, and then the the lady who was running the program, um, she again, the day before or a few days before, what have you, gave me the rundown. Here's what you're dealing with. Here's what's gonna happen. And I'm thankful for it because I think again it's one of those ways to try and weed out. If it ain't for you, you might want to think about it now because this could go sideways. And I'm like, really? Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like that. I gotta come in here ready to, like, do I
Well,
even
yeah.
want that? Do I want that energy?
Yeah. You got to deal with it, and you have to have that patience to deal with it.
Well, I wasn't coming in there thinking that I might get dusty up in here. We might have to, what I mean, like move some
No.
furniture. But
No.
And they could feel that energy too.
but after she spoke to me, I did have that energy. And here's the thing. It's like you said, Reggie, just coming up from, Greg, PG County, I I was like, bet. Okay, I just needed to change the channel. I wasn't on that channel at first, right? I just needed to change the frequency. Now that it's a blessing that I have that frequency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can turn to that channel if I need to. Oh, it's that. Oh, okay. Cool. So now.
Yeah. The
And
switch.
so,
We call it the switch. You got
right.
the
So
switch.
so I have that frequency. Now I'm there. And day one, I ain't coming there like, all right, it wasn't like that. I wasn't all puffed. But the minute I felt the energy like somebody trying me, you could be into whatever. I could be writing on the board. I could be doing whatever. And then you just get that, hold up. Like that heat
Yeah.
right here. Like, oh, is that? Oh, look, it could be whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I take the suit jacket off. What? Take the badge off. What? You know what I mean? It could be whatever, because
You're about to experience that old man strength.
whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like, but let me remind you, I am here for you. I'm not here for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to share something with you. Remember, you the one got the case. You the one that need the credit. You the one that need all these things.
Yep.
And it's 11 other people in here that need this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's whatever. We good? We good. I bet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we move on.
In that situation, those kids are adults. They'll
Adults.
try. They want to try.
Yeah.
They'll try you.
Yeah, they just say,
then-
hey, if you get that respect, if you can
Right.
garner
They
that
see you
respect,
because if you would have
not
been
like,
a
but
lesser,
respect.
if you'd been a lesser man or hadn't gone through the things you've gone through, you wouldn't know how to. Hey, this ain't what you want.
And that's
And then once they feel that, they calm back down.
yeah, and that's why you'll have a lot of times where youth coming from our community, people don't know how to deal with them, and that's unfortunate because we might have the background, we understand some of the circumstances at home more than others. Not saying other ethnic groups don't have that, but culturally we're different. We're set apart. We are set apart, and I think sometimes we need people who have that background to come in and can really talk and deal with the youth.
Well, and tell me if you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Well, it's not a right or wrong. It's just, I'm just going to share my feelings on that because I've shared in the past that coming up in the neighborhoods I grew up in, I was not top of the food chain, I was not that dude.
No,
But-
neither was I.
But I was exposed to enough to know, to just know some things. and it built it just put a feeling in me. Let me just put it that way. But tell me if I'm wrong. Am I wrong in saying that it takes a lot of energy not to go straight there? You know what I mean? Like once it's almost like it takes more energy for me to act normal. Is that a word? Am I saying it right?
Mhm.
There's so many things. Now you couple military experience on top of all of that. And then you get around civilians. You got upbringing, you got military experience, you got all these things. In order to just to relax, certain things would just come out. But to hold certain things back, that takes energy. And when somebody wants to flip the release valve, it's like, oh, bad. You know,
Yeah.
like, that's
You're
where okay, cool. Let's get it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm saying, man. I don't know. Maybe it's me. That's how it
no,
feels sometimes.
no. Sometimes you gotta let them know. You can get some hands laid on you without the oil. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you got, and it doesn't always have to be in what you say. It's the look, because just like we all should have that ability to look at our kids a certain way when they're acting a fool. You're like, and then they get it. You can do that with people too,
Yeah.
and people instantly. You could be in like you in the suit and tie, but when the dude's like, you didn't have to say nothing. They'll get it. They say, okay, yeah, he he knows.
Well, but Greg, when you said we're still government employees, right? I'm assuming, I don't know. I'm gonna assume that you have the same experience as I do, where you deal with people in the office or whatever that's like, oh, this is all you've ever experienced? This is it? And then they want to step to you sideways. You'd be like, oh, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I that was checked a while back.
Mm-hmm.
That was checked a while back. And I think what you have to do, you just have to let me set this up. For the longest time at my data center, I was the only Black full-time employee, FTE, government
Mm-hmm.
employee. There were a few contractors there, but I was for the longest time the only one.
Mm.
So, and you would hear conversations, and I took it upon myself to set a standard that there were certain jokes I didn't partake in, no
Mm-hmm.
matter who it was about. Certain topics I didn't delve into, because I didn't want you to feel comfortable to where you thought you could say certain things in my
Mm-hmm.
presence. Now, I don't care what you said outside of my presence, but once I stepped in a room or a location, I think the tone was set. I don't play in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a situation, I remember when the good brother, Barack Obama, was elected. And one of our techs, he was a contractor in the office, sent me email, Mr. Henry, we need to do something on your system, some update or something.
Right.
So I was bringing my laptop. Well, he had something on his screen, a screensaver,
Mm-hmm.
as it relates to our newly elected president.
Mm-hmm.
Now, regardless of where your political affiliations were, I didn't care. But what was on that screen, I didn't like. And basically, all I did was this. No words. I looked at the screen. I looked at him. I looked one more time at the screen. I looked at him. Email me not email me, but notify me when my system is ready. Yes, sir. I walked
Mm-hmm.
away. When I came back to get that system, what was on that screensaver? It was gone. message received. Because my boy, who was a core, I'd have picked up the phone. Here's the situation. This is inappropriate. I think someone needs to leave this contract.
Okay.
I found that setting the tone in the beginning
Yeah.
worked for me.
Yep.
So there would be no questions.
None.
No questions. And we call it setting the tone. Well, my godmother, God rest her, I had this, I didn't know what this was, but when I walk in the room, stuff changed. Stuff stopped, stuff changed, because of how I care, because of my light. And she told me, she was a minister, she told me that's called the anointing.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we call it a tone because I stopped cussing. I got a beat out of me in Fort Benning at 598 because we played a game called Cuss Word. Every time you cuss, you got to get hit.
Right.
So we got a beat out of us. So, but my son, they used to tell me, "Wow, you really made me feel this big, and you didn't say a cuss word." So then, because of how I am, I say, "No, don't get me wrong. Now I could cuss like the best of them. I can kick over the garbage cans, and I could do all of that. But is it effective?"
Yeah.
But because of how I carried myself, when I walked into the room, people say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know what that was." But she had to tell me what that was. When you walk into a room and you change the atmosphere,
Yeah.
they straighten up, they do better. Like you said, G, you didn't have to say a word.
Yeah.
He saw it, it went before you. You didn't have to say a word. Yeah. That's the anointing. That's what it is.
Anointing.
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that you don't curse, and it's on the same topic we're talking about. I was, I think, maybe 22, and my friend who's there in Atlanta took us to these older gentlemen, and they mentored.
Somebody singing.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, it's choir
all
rehearsal,
good.
man.
It's all good. No,
Yeah.
you good.
And they mentored younger Black men.
Okay.
So when we were there, they were talking to us. We had just finished talking about investing. Okay. And, we were just, hanging out and each other. I said something off color. I don't even remember what I said, but I cursed. And he, called me over a young brother. And what I could remember from that conversation is like, from what he said to me initially, I took it as, "Oh man, what? You trying to say I'm stupid?" Because, I still had that energy.
Right.
He said, "No, young brother, what I'm trying to do is to get you to think before you speak." And I'm 56. That was like when I was 22. And I said, "Message received. I got you." I stopped cussing.
The Malcolm X movie did it. That's
Yeah.
what really opened my eyes. You remember he was in jail, and that brother came to him and was like, "Why?" He made him write everything in the dictionary
Right.
and everything like that. And he said, because Malcolm was cussing, and he said it was like a lack of intelligence.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you can't put a word, so you replace it with a curse word.
Yeah.
Right.
And that hit me hard. And I was like, wow. So I would say stuff like, "Get your goat smelling carcass over here." It has the same effect.
Yeah.
Move out and draw roaches. I had all kind of sayings that I would say that had the same effect as cuss words, but I didn't have to use profanity.
Yeah.
And but that Malcolm X movie, it really, just like that old gentleman did for you,
Yeah.
it did the same thing for me. Plus, I tried to get my chest beat in. And we recognize that we cuss too much. And this is our first duty station, me and Doc. So we made up a game. It was called Cuss Word. If you said a cuss word, the people who were playing got to hit you hard as they wanted to until you said the password was cuss word. So if you said a cuss word, they start hitting you. To get them to stop hitting you, you had to say the word cuss word.
Yeah. I went
We
through
did that.
B-Knock. And anytime anybody cursed, there was a money jar. You had to put in a quarter. Now, a quarter sound like a little bit, but let me tell you, that bad boy filled up very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. So going back to what you say, we do curse a lot. Oh, yeah. Yep. Ching. Oh, you heard what? Ching, 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 ching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But setting the tone before you come into a place, then I never had to do it again.
That's right. Because
so when I set the tone, hey, this is what I'm going to do if you do X, Y, and Z. So you won't be shocked that I'm doing it. You know, and then after I set that tone, that one example was you DUI, I'm recommending the max. BUI, I'm recommending the max. Don't call me to be a character witness for you. I don't care how good you were. I'm recommending the max. So once that ground rule was set, I didn't have to flex again. I wasn't that type of leader, kick the door in and establish my dominance. And I just let you know what I will and won't accept. I never was mad. Somebody got counseled. Did you do this? You did it? You knew? Okay, so all right. All right, have a good day. I was never, I changed my whole, it changed me, changed my whole perspective.
Yeah,
what's
the saying? Your reputation precedes you.
Yeah, that's right.
When you establish it, your reputation precedes you. So now there's no guesswork.
And then in your job, Greg, I guarantee you had other people advocating for you, just like me. They were like, "Hey man, he don't play that. Hey man, don't say that around him." And I had the same thing. People would stop them from doing whatever when I was around, or because I didn't drink, my peers, I didn't have to. Somebody else say, "Hey man, you want something to drink?" They would say, "No man, he don't drink."
Yeah.
So that's how you know your reputation precedes you, when you have other people advocating your standards.
That's right.
And I guarantee you, Greg, people knew how you were or how you are. When a new person came in, they were like, "Hey man, he don't play that. Hey man, don't do that.
Yep.
That he ain't the one." Or whatever they used, but they were advocating because you have standards that you stick with. Yeah. You don't flounder, and that's how I was.
Yeah.
Now, that's how I am, actually. That's how I am.
He's not that.
So can we then, to wrap this up, are we saying then that we do have an obligation
I think so.
To advise younger generations?
Yeah. We have that obligation.
And I think all three of us, we do. I think we do.
Okay. All right. Well, gentlemen, there you have it. We have obligations to advise this younger generation in our community anyway. And so I guess we take that and move forward. Any closing thoughts before we get up out of here?
Hey.
Well, thank God we're on this side.
That's
okay,
right.
Right on.
That's right. And just see one, reach one.
Okay. See one, reach one.
Yeah.
And I'll just say be, do, have, right?
I like that.
Understand the type of person you have to be in order to do the things you need to do, in order to have the things you want to have.
Amen.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm hoping we can do this again very soon.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
And I wish you guys well, and I'll see you next time.